minute.
Okay, here we are again.
Yep, it's week number 8.
Yeah. So it's not quite 7 yet.
Yeah.
So maybe now's a good time to talk about next week. Next week is Father's Day, and we've made a decision to go ahead and do our reading anyway. We said we'd be here every Sunday night at 7. So we're going to go ahead and do that, but it's no big deal because these are recorded on YouTube. So all you have to do is Google In Spite of Us, Deb and Sandy Palmer, and the videos will come up. You should be able to find them pretty easy. Actually, it'd be better if you did In Spite of Us, Deb and Sandy Palmer live video, because then that'll help you to not have to deal with a lot of other stuff. Okay. So, tonight we're switching roles a little bit because rare occasion, Sandy has more to say tonight about his chapter than I have to say, and his chapter's a lot longer than mine tonight. So if you're wondering what I keep doing, I've got a box I got rid of it. Yay. It was covering Sandy's face and it was driving me nuts. Okay, so what we're going to do, like every Sunday night at 7 o'clock, we're going to be reading through our book 1 chapter at a time, 2 chapters each week.
Our book.
Right, our book, In Spite of Us, a love story about second chances. And tonight we're reading chapter 15 and 16. Also, every other week, there'll be a drawing for this book, Chicken Soup for the Soul. It has 101 feel-good stories. Laughter is the best medicine. So they're all funny stories. It's a really good time for that right now. I think we can all use a little lightening of our mood.
And there's a story in there by my favorite author, Deb.
He has to say that, right? Okay. So all you have to do to be eligible to be in this drawing is to share the YouTube or Facebook video, comment, like it. We just need to see your name so that we can put your name in a list to be drawn out. And pretty much once you're in the list, you stay in it. So unless you win a book, then you're taken out. Okay.
And that will be, the drawing will be at the end of next week's reading.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So let's see.
We're going to read a review.
Okay. So were you going to read an Amazon review or a Goodreads review?
Yes.
Oh.
This is a Goodreads review.
A Goodreads review. Okay. Before he reads that, I just really want to say that we so appreciate the reviews. You have no idea. If you're a writer, you know what the reviews mean. You go to a lot of trouble to get a book published and get it out there. So when people write a review, it means everything. And we have some great reviews.
Yes, and this is one of them. And this was Amber is the lady who posted this review. This was such a beautiful book with a powerful message. I just love well-written stories with a great message. It was a delight reading. The authors are very talented. I love their writing style and how it flowed with the story. I was always quickly turning the pages to see where the story would go next. definitely recommend this book.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's nice. Okay, so again, if you are just somehow tuning into this, you need to go back and listen to chapter 1 through 14, which we've been doing, so that you can catch up. And remember that the bonus to listening to us live is that each week we try really hard to give you some backstory that's not available in the book. So tonight, I really don't have very much backstory because my chapter is going a little deeper into what I talked about last week, which is how I was raised, and how a lot of people are raised, where drinking is like the biggest deal of becoming an adult. And, my family's a good, strong Scotch, Irish family, and partying and being able to do that is a rite of passage. I know that when I met Sandy and he had 3 years of sobriety, I just thought that was the oddest thing. And I couldn't even comprehend a sober life at that point. It wasn't on my list of things that I had ever even contemplated. And it certainly wasn't on a list of things I planned on doing ever, because I really would draw a complete blank thinking of a life without alcohol. I mean, that's what people do when they get together. So, my chapter tonight is chapter 15, and it's called The Irish Intervention. He can't have one drink? Asked Mom. How about just a beer? I ignore the question this time, since I've already answered politely 3 times. It's not as if they're concerned for Sandy like he's a flapping goldfish out of the bowl needing something wet to survive. No, it's that his not drinking points a self-accusing finger at them. I told the doctor I have 1 or 2 drinks a day. He says that's fine. Mom, he doesn't want 1 drink. He wants all you've got. If he starts, you better keep it coming, or he'll maim and plunder for more. Fine, but why can't you have a drink? Does he expect you to stop having fun because he can't control himself? I manage an eye roll response. I've already told her I can have a drink, but choose not to because I don't think it's fair to Sandy. Truth is, I want to drink more than ever right now. I've forgotten what it was like as a child stuck in a boozed up crowd, wondering why you're the only one who knows the jokes are not funny, the woman hanging on my dad is ugly, and then Uncle Eldon is a scary old pervert who bit my ear. Seriously, staying sober is no less painful than remaining awake through major surgery. You hear, see, feel it all. Mom and I carry opposite drinking styles. I get sloshed, blitzed, hammered, while she gets lit, juiced, tanked. She's impressive, capable of feeding 30 people on a 3 a.m. whim, breakfast complete with garnish. I humbly confess drinking half her intake leaves me slouched and spinning on the sofa, a family disgrace. We may hold the right to bear steins in high accord, but don't think we turn a blind eye to intoxication abuse. Here's a little known fact. The Irish invented the art of alcohol intervention. Okay, maybe it's more of an educated suspicion than a fact. A normal intervention is led by a professional counselor with family members and friends, confronting a problem drinker and encouraging them to seek help. The Irish intervention is the same deal with a twist. It takes place at a bar with a jury of professionals, and alcohol consumption is not only welcome but required for credibility. The focus is not abstinence. That's ridiculous, like potato salad minus the spuds. Instead, the professionals give first-hand advice on proper drinking etiquette, simply how to hold your liquor. Mom wants what's best for me. What loving mother would sentence her daughter to a life of doldrums, surrounded by sticks in the mud, determined to bore each other to death? Honestly, it was never my plan either. My dollhouse had beer in the fridge. Barbie greeted Ken at the door with his favorite cocktail. I want to live the good life, minus the messy stuff, like fistfights, name-calling, and fires. No moms with black eyes, no children with swollen faces, no lies, no tears. Truly, minus that kind of stuff, our family is perfect. The stay-at-home mom applying red lipstick at midnight to serve her trucker husband a hearty meal after work. A 1950s wallet picture of 4 children staircasing down to the final accomplishment, a boy, red-haired and freckled like me. The last on-purpose attempt for a boy. Why does someone always add 1 drop too much rye, spoiling the Irish stew? Sandy's on the back porch behind me, the tiki bar, watching a spider build its web. I admire his ability to escape, but right now, I wish he'd act normal, since my folks are looking at me for answers. Where'd you say he works? Asks my dad. I told you, he's completing his teacher's degree, Dad. He drove truck for years. He's a hard worker. But he can't drink? No, Dad, he can't. Why don't we check the news for an update on Virginia's husband?
Okay. Before I read my chapter, I want to talk a little bit about some history and some of what is leading. This is leading to in my life, and I had a problem still a little once in a while today, but not like I did, of being an arrogant know-it-all. And knowing when I was right, knowing what I should do, and what that'd get me. In fact, one time on a road trip, when I thought I was wronged, I called the police, and they came down and arrested me. Yeah, I was that right. Yeah, so I might not always be right, but I always think I am. And then another issue here is that a problem taking direction or correction or any kind of anything from a woman. That was I brought that with me for years and years and years until I was able to, with the help of God, remove that mostly. I still, it doesn't rule me like it used to. This chapter doesn't talk a whole lot about this problem, but it begins one of my failed attempts and one of my downfalls. And being sober, I figured, now that I don't drink, I gotta be right. And I set a goal and this is going to happen. And I've learned you can plan the plan, but don't plan the outcome. And leave the results up to God. And the story, or this chapter, ends with some good stuff. So, my life was so much better sober, but still had some rocky places, and that's life.
Mm-hmm.
That's life, and we still have bumpy roads today, but with God's help, we move forward and learn from it. So I'm going to read chapter 16. The title is I Need a Hitman. 3 weeks ago, sopped in sweat, stinking of asphalt, back aching from the jams and slams of the dump truck, I drove home, showered, stuffed an ice pack down my pants, a happy man. It was my last day working for Columbia Asphalt, paving roads in the triple-digit heat. After 2 days' rest, back still aching, I walked through the doors of Davis High School, a student teacher smelling as sweet as a librarian. A suitable mate for Deb, who clicks off each morning in nylon stockings and spiked heels to counsel and train others how to get a job. She's disappointed in her job, but jokes on the irony of getting a degree to teach others to land the position of their dreams. I should be concerned that my supervisor is revered in the education arena as the Dragon Lady, but I'm not. Dee Moon, the teacher I worked under during my practicum, entrusted me with her students while she dealt with her mother's terminal illness. Based on that performance, and knowing the class would be nearly all the same students, she recommended I fly solo once again. By mid-September, sunny days clinging like the leaves on the trees, my future beams from the tunnel of my thoughts. I'm settled in with 25 students, building trust and respect daily. If things continue to go in this direction, I may ask Deb a certain question, one certain to get a yes. Normally, my day starts with Joe and Anthony tagging along at my sides like bookends, reporting moment-by-moment details of all I'd missed since the last school bell tolled. Instead, today I'm forced to hand my students back to Dee. I'm scheduled to attend a student-teacher training with the Dragon Lady. I'm first to show, eager to get it over. Sick of time-sucking ordeals disguised as trainings. I just want to do my job. A woman shuffles files and writes notes on the whiteboard as the 40-some chairs slowly fill with student teachers. She's not unattractive, but carries that pinched nose, rule-making persona I tend to stereotype as the typical teacher. She begins a sluggish introduction packed with details of accomplishments her own mother would snooze through. My hope to get this over dwindles as she recounts grueling particulars of college, birthing children, a short-lived kindergarten teaching gig, and so on. My only question never gets addressed. What miracle took place to land her this job? My frustration builds. My students need me to be in class, not here. I've earned a degree of respect with them, one moment at a time. It all counts. I read the lengthy outline written on the board, realizing this woman who'd spent little time in a real-life classroom is holding me hostage, threatening to replay a training I've not only been through, but have been practicing in the actual live classroom. If she'd just put her whip down and shut up, I could go back to my class and do what she plans on teaching. Finally, the saga of the Dragon Lady ends. Next, she leads the group through individual introductions, encouraging details. If they follow her model, I'll die an old man in this chair. Please, God, grant me patience. With no choice, I learned that most of the group is in their first practicum. With that in mind, they could benefit from the training outlined on the board known as Madeline Hunter's ITIP. Mother Madeline's theory, my nickname, is one of the better models. My professor and advisor, Sam Russ, stressed that models are just that, an ideal to base your personalized plan from. Each student brings a new dynamic to the classroom, leaving you to evaluate, assess, and adjust to their needs. I'm Sandy Palmer. I've completed a special ed practicum and a short pre-autumn practicum, which I am continuing this quarter just down the hall, where my class is waiting for my return. I've been practicing Madeline Hunter's ITIP for 2 weeks now. I don't feel I need this reviewed. Tugging at the edges of her jacket, the Dragon Lady responds, "Well, Sandy," it is Sandy, right? Going on without waiting for my response, she states, "This training is mandatory." I understand, but I've been through this training already with Professor Russ. I need to be back in my classroom. You need to be here with all the student teachers. Now, who's next? I contemplate an unscholarly response punctuated with a vulgar hand gesture. Sobriety has taught me to be selective when going to war. This battle cannot be won. I sit quietly through Mother Madeline's rerun. The next day, Dee meets me before class with a pleased grin, saying, "Just keep doing what you're doing. It's going great." I appreciate her encouragement, especially regarding my 6th period math resource room. It's a crazy hodgepodge of 9th to 12th graders with competency levels peaking and dipping off the chart. Students range from studious to academically challenged, angelic to ruthless, hyper to lethargic. My other classes, in comparison, are a breeze. Ending the day with the resource room leaves me drained. Even so, life right now is promising, satisfying, even good. 7 days a week at 6:30 a.m., I'm drinking coffee with fellow drunks, sharing how it used to be with AA newbies who walked through the door as certain as flies at a picnic. Living at Deb's house is intense. I don't understand her. If she came with controls, she'd have one big toggle switch marked extreme. There's no such thing as easy does it. Everything is urgent. She stays late at the office, sometimes past midnight, scheming ways to transform her social worker position into something more to her liking. At home, same wired mode, declaring game nights, family meetings, home renovations, like General Patton going to war. All battles have redundant theme, prove to the world she's good enough. If I manage to drag her off the battlefield, she decompresses like a Jake break. My house sits vacant, waiting for Dad and me to make some renovations needed before renting it out. When possible, I abduct Deb, sneaking her away from Haley and Jay, work, and house chores. I build a fire, wrap her in a blanket, and listen to her busyness until she exhales, snuggling into the foreign land of rest. Fishing works too. Born and raised in Yakima, I know where every creek bends, when the fish bite, and where to find a stash of rock suitable for skipping across the water. My brother, sister, and I explored the Yakima and Kittitas counties more thoroughly than Lewis and Clark. And the first time I hijacked Deb off to the Nile, she brings a stack of files. On the way, we stopped to purchase a fishing license. Against her wishes, I buy 2. Since we both share the art of thriftiness, I had a hunch she wouldn't be able to let money spent go unused. I was right. Within 15 minutes at my favorite fishing hole, she leaves the car, moseys up, and sits on a rock near me. 5 minutes later, she brings me the fishing gear I'd packed and left in the car for her. It's not that I mind touching the worm, it's that I don't want to be the executioner. I need a hitman. I fill the contract on the worm, lacing it through the hook while Deb looks away. My own gear is primed and ready to cast when I'm summoned to untangle her line from a bush behind her. I didn't ask how, but I couldn't do it on purpose. I spent all day trying. I move, finding a spot where I can see her, but further upstream. It won't hurt Deb to practice patience, untangling her own mess. I'm in my realm of comfort, the place where my mind is quiet and breaths are deep. I'm startled out of it by a series of yelps and yowls. I expect a hound has tackled a paddling of ducks, but it's Deb. She's leaping on the rock midstream, holding her rod in one hand, the line in the other, with a dangling silver fish, best suited for bait. I'm impressed with her balance and enthralled by the most joyful face I've ever seen. I want to see that face more. I think I know how. I've tended the Skagit Valley Dirt Cup sprint car races for 5 years. This year, I'm taking Deb. She's snarling about it, but if she can get this excited over a guppy, how will she react when a sprint car does a triple flip and flies over the fence?
Okay. So, probably periodically as we do this, one or both of us will be confessing how difficult this is. We're going to be going into a section of the book. It's honestly, good things are coming. But there's some dark periods, but I just want to encourage you to stick with us because there's hope. There's hope for us. More and more of God is going to show up in this story, but we've got to go dark and for you to be able to really truly appreciate the light that is coming.
Yeah. And if our readings have piqued your interest, you can purchase this book on Amazon,
Barnes and Noble, or at your local bookstore.
Yeah.
If they don't have it, just ask them and they can order it for you.
Or you can go down to our Yakima library and check it out.
That's right. It's in the library.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here for us. And we will see you next week, even though it's Father's Day. And
I'm a father.
Yeah.
Hi, kids.
So thanks again. See you next week. Good night.
Good night.